Okay, very good morning to all of you. Am I audible, Amit sir?
Good morning. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we'll start our first half session. Now it's my now it's my immense pleasure to introduce Dr. Kurra Satya Babu. He is an assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Rourkela. He is working as an assistant professor in NIT Rourkela since 2008. He is having more than 50 research papers in peer-reviewed journal and conferences. He is coordinator of data science specialization for MTech in NIT Rourkela. He has supervised 3 PhD scholars and currently supervising 9 PhD scholars. His area of interest is data science, natural language processing, and data privacy. Thank you, sir, for giving us a valuable time for us. So, sir, Satya, sir.
Yeah, am I
Yeah,
audible?
sir. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible. So, sir, you may start your session, sir.
Okay, so directly I will start the session right now.
Okay. Before that, we will take a one snap with you, sir.
Okay, just a minute.
So, I request to all the participants, please switch on your video camera. So, we will take a one snapshot with the speaker. Thank you.
Yeah, am I visible?
Yes, sir, you are visible. I request the other participants also to please turn on your videos for a moment, please.
Okay. Okay, Satya, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Then you may start your lecture, sir.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
then.
Thank you,
Okay.
all the participants. Please switch off your camera. Thank you.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, fine, thank you. Is my screen visible?
Your screen is visible now. Visible.
Okay, thank you very much. So, today we'll see about this session. That is, I think so many people are joining right now. So, some sounds I can get it. Right?
Screen is not visible. Hello.
My screen is not visible.
No, I think it is
Yes,
visible,
sir.
sir. You can check internet
It
connection.
should
I
be. It
think.
should be visible.
Yeah, it is
It is
visible here.
visible. It is
Yes.
visible here
Visible.
also.
Okay, okay. Maybe for some problem due to the internet connectivity, maybe sometimes there will be a small lag in the sharing of the screen, or even in the voice also it may be there. Anyway, the topic that was given to me was text processing and representation. So I will have this lecture for next 1.5 hours regarding this text processing and representation. So I will be having like the basic introductory part of the this processing, text processing, then about the text representation part, then the tool that we use it like for the sequence processing, the especially like I will be just giving a brief view of the RNN and its applications and how it is working. Then if time permits still, then I have some slides also for the text language modeling using this text corpus. So I'll be going through this. This is the sequence of my lecture. So this text mining or text processing is the process of deriving meaningful information from natural language text for further analysis of natural language processing applications. So we have so many applications of natural language where the basis is like text processing. So even if it comes in any form, maybe like if you take some applications of image captioning, so even for the image data that is taken, ultimately it has to be broken down as a text again and processed. That text only need to be processed again. Or you take a like a some video which is like again consecutive frames of these images only, or maybe like audio speech. If you take it, the speech also need to be converted as a text only, and then this text needs to be processed. So ultimately the base thing, if you need to see that if any of the NLP applications come into picture, it means that the text processing is the basic game that plays. So text processing usually involves the processing of structuring the input text, deriving patterns within the structured data, and finally evaluating and interpreting the output. So why do we need this text processing, by the way? With the advancement of technology, now you know that like every way back from 2000, in the era when we started 21st century, most of the firms, they have entered into automation. So with the advancement of technology, most data that is being generated is in unstructured textual form. Almost it is said that approximately 85% is in unstructured textual form. And better techniques and algorithms are required to extract useful and interesting information from the large amount of generated textual data, right? So we need like special algorithms to process this text. Hence the area of text processing or text mining or text analytics and information extraction comes into picture and helps for extracting interesting and useful information. Now, if you see here, just some statistics way back, maybe like 1 year back only these statistics have been taken, but just to see it here, like 3 billion plus internet users all over the world. I believe it should be more. Okay, it will be definitely more because the current statistics were not taken into consideration. Okay, I have taken these statistics were like from last year only, and 1 billion plus number of websites, and the number of like mails is 120 billion. You just imagine here, and 2 billion plus searches. This is just today it is given, but it is not today. Please remember that this all the statistics were taken some 1 year back. For that time when when the statistics were taken, it was that figure. Okay, uh, and like 2 million plus blog posts are given every day. Sorry, maybe like a written on that day means it. I believe that it will be more. Okay, it will be more. And this is like the tweets that are sent on a daily basis. And if you go and find out like there is a picture of telling that like Domo sapiens, how much data is generated in 1 minute? Let me give you, if it is fine, then let me give you that statistics also. Okay, let you will not divert from here then. If you just go and type it, data never sleeps. Data never sleeps, and just to find out that how much data is generated in 1 minute. Just in 1 minute, how much data is generated? 8.0. Okay, data never sleeps 8.0. If you just go and see here from the infographic, let me just I forgot to just add it here. Just please, I thought that I added, but I did not add it. Just you see here, data never sleeps 8.0 this is, and how much data is being generated in single minute. This is every minute in 2020. In every minute of the day, how much data is being generated? Can we just see here? YouTube users upload 500 hours of video in a single minute. This happens in 2020. Every minute of the day, you see here, YouTube users upload 500 hours of video. Twitter gains new users, 319 new users in a single minute, and consumers spend around $1 million online in a single minute. Microsoft Teams connect 52,000 users in a single minute. Facebook users share 150,000 messages. And you see about the LinkedIn, TikTok, Venmo, Spotify, Instagram, Amazon. So you see here, Amazon ships something around 6,659 shipping packages in a single minute. Okay, and 1 million plus video or voice calls are being made in a single minute. And mobile apps, how many dollars? 3,000 plus dollars are being spent. And WhatsApp users share how many messages you just, all this happen in a single minute. Okay, those were the old statistics, but this is the new statistics that I am giving you here. Okay, you see here, Facebook, how many users upload how many photos in a single minute. And Zoom hosts 208,000 participants in meetings in a single minute. And Reddit sees Netflix users stream how many hours of video you just. And DoorDash dines orders 555 meals in a single minute. And you just see that Instagram on. See, this is the statistics. Just these are the statistics. Okay, it happens in a single minute. It happens in a single minute. If you see, this is data never sleeps 8.0. You can please go to data never sleeps 7.0, data never sleeps 6.0. So like this, you just check it, and you can also find out how much difference it is there, how much data is being generated. And it means that most of them are textual data also. Okay, both you can have textual data, and then all types of data are available. Okay, now back. Is my screen again visible? I came to the slides
Yes,
back
sir.
again.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
okay,
It is
fine.
visible.
Thank you. So you see text processing, like some more examples. Let me give you. The world puts as much as 2.5 exabytes of data every day, which means 90 years of the worth high definition videos, or 530 million songs on 150 million iPhones. And companies are practically, emotionally, eagerly waiting, looking for effective means of extracting the gold rush of data. And text processing is one of the most used ways. Now, another statistic here, a messenger chatbot allows organizations to engage personally with customers. Over 64% of customers believe that companies need to be contactable on chat applications, and incorporating chatbot with effective NLP is very much crucial. And nowadays, you just imagine that with the era, era of a pandemic situation, most of the people, okay, working from home or like that, everything has come in chatbots only. A prediction by Gartner states that over 85% of customer will happen without much human interaction by the year 2020. Okay, definitely, and it has happened also. Now, how data is being represented? Okay, conventional data. Okay, we have data like a text, image, and sounds, and how they are represented in computer. Okay, let us see that this is like a basic representation. Okay, all data is represented in binary, definitely 0 and 1, because the number game that the computer understands is 0 and 1 only, binary. So a character can be represented using a byte. Similarly, a sequence of characters like a word or sentence or paragraph can be represented using sequence of bytes only, right? This is very simple. Now, you take an image. So this is for a like a text. You take an image. A image is constructed using millions of pixels. For example, like each pixel has a color, and each color can be represented using like the three colors: red, green and blue, RGB colors, right? And each of these base color can be represented using a byte each. So if you want to represent one color, one pixel color, it means that 3 bytes are used, one for R, one for G, and one for B, that is red, green, and blue, right? So with that combination, you can see that we are having, with this complete combination, some 16 million plus colors are available, possibilities are there. So a typical video or a graphic has 30 images per second. So if you take, this is about the image, first about the image, and the second line is that about the video or a graphic or some motion picture. Okay, a picture which is in motion has 30 images per second. So it means that consecutive representation of this image only is the video here. Now similarly, every sound is basically a series of vibration in air. These vibrations can be represented graphically as a form. So any point in this waveform can be represented as a number. And similarly, any sound can be broken down into a series of numbers. This is how, and these numbers are again represented into zeros and ones like that. So any text, image, or video and sound, everything is represented in terms of binary only. This is a very basic representation, how data is being represented, okay, in computer. And if you see like various applications of the text in the text processing, uh, like you see here, we have given like group 1 applications, group 2 applications, group 3 applications, increasing in the level of complexity. Group 1 applications, if you see, cleaning up, tokenization, stemming, lemmatization, parts of speech tagging, query expansion, parsing, segmentation and recognition, morphological segmentation, all this comes into picture, and many more. There may be many basic again applications that may be available under group 1. These are little bit less complex when we consider the group 2 applications. Group 2 applications basically involve group 1 applications. Okay, so like information retrieval and extraction, relationship extraction, named entity recognition, sentiment analysis, sentence boundary disambiguation, word sense and disambiguation, like text similarity, co-reference resolution, discourse analysis, everything. And also you see group 3 applications which are more complex, like machine translation, automatic summarization, natural language generation, reasoning using knowledge base, question answering system, dialogue systems, image captioning, and other multimodal tasks. All these are the various number of levels of tasks with an increasing level of different complexities, which are being applied or which are being used under text processing. Now, if you see a basic structure of this text processing, please remember that there are huge and many more applications which are not listed here. Okay, now if you see the basic structure of this text processing, first one, like what we do is we interface, we have interfaces, maybe like a command line interfacer, maybe a message chatting system, a cloud, or maybe like a Instagram or something, this text messaging app again, or maybe from the servers or from whatever the websites or somewhere. Okay, all this. So application interface for interacting with the user. Now this send to the NLP layer. This like or like this, everything is in terms of natural language only. They are being sent to the NLP layer. This NLP layer uses the knowledge base from different. This knowledge base contains the database of information needed to respond queries to the customer's request, and also it uses the data storage, interaction history, and various analytics. So this is this part is, this block contains interaction history of chatbot with users like that. So many things it combines together. This NLP layer combines together and it translates the user queries into information for the appropriate response. And once the response is generated, it sends back to the user interface. This is like how a conventional basic structure that is used, right? Now, like if you see, okay, we do like, how does this NLP layer does this? Okay, if you see this NLP layer, what this natural language layer, what it does. So we have various stages here. The stages are like we give the input. So initially the morphological processing is being done here. So morphological processing maybe like it involves, see, data may be existing in more than one form, right? Representation of the data can be done in more than one form. For example, I say that um, a bank, for example, okay, a bank. What should I understand by this bank? If you take a bank, okay, maybe like I can say that like a bank means it is a we can consider that one as a river bank, or it can be a financial bank. Okay, so morphological processing is like existing in more than one form. So this particular word, the word is same only, but it has got different meanings. Now what exactly the morphological meaning says is that you exist in different forms. Maybe like another example, like the best example for this morphological processing is like you see that like fishes, fishing, all these things, they are different morphological variations, forms of the word fish. Okay, so we have got different, like we have got different like morphologies also. Maybe like one of the derivational in morphology, if you take it like from computer, computerize, computerization, all these are the base words. Okay, computerization, these are derived from the basic word called computer. So like what you need to understand is that there is a stage which is called the morphological, which exists in more than one form. Possibly maybe like we may use some normalization technique to bring it back. Possibly maybe like a stemmer or maybe like a lemmatizer, we use it to bring it back. This is what like existing in more than one form. Now here again, the next stage is we can this sometimes divided says that as a lexical analyzer, then again syntax analyzer. Some say that like okay, you combine this both, the lexical analyzer and the syntax analyzer. So if you take lexical analyzers, you need to store every details about that lexicon. Maybe like if you take a dog, or if you take a human being, man. Okay, if you take a man, it means that the gender is male. Okay, he has two legs, two eyes, 2 ears. So these are the features, storing out all the features about that particular lexicon. Okay, that is lexical analysis. Of course, before that one you need to tokenize it. Okay, and then maybe in the some problems also may come, some ambiguity issues. Of course, everywhere there will be some ambiguity issues with throughout these different stages. Okay, now you say that this is the lexicon, and if you say about the syntax part, applying grammar. Okay, like this syntax analysis is mostly concerned with what is the grammar of that particular language. Now once the grammar is also is applied for that particular sentence or maybe for the words, then the semantic meaning is analyzed. In the semantic analysis, the semantic meaning is like what is the meaning of that particular word. So it uses some semantic rules, then some syntax directed translations or something, it may use it for this semantic analysis. Once semantic analysis is done, then sometimes this semantic analysis and pragmatic analysis are combined together, because this pragmatic analysis says about the meaning in the correct or that correct position, or you can say that like at that current juncture. See, sometimes you tell a joke to your friend, and that may not be a joke afterwards. Okay, if you tell the same joke again, see, depending upon that situation, even like see somebody falling down is sometimes like you may laugh, but suddenly maybe like every time he falls down you do not laugh, right? So this is what you say, that at that current juncture, current situation, what is the exact meaning? Okay, what is the exact meaning? Suppose I say that for example I say like he is the Sachin Tendulkar of my class. What does it mean? It means that he is the Sachin Tendulkar in my class, of my class. It means that he is the boy whose name is Sachin Tendulkar in my class. Should I understand the meaning in this way, or He is the best batsman in the class, in my class. So this is what is the meaning actually, pragmatic meaning at that current juncture. Okay, at that current juncture, it means that to analyze the pragmatic meaning, you need some contextual information. Contextual information is very much necessity for analyzing this pragmatic analysis. Another one is the discourse analysis. See, discourse analysis says about, see, sometimes when, see, our elders always say that you first listen. You first listen what I say, then you speak. See, that is conventionally what our elders regularly keep on saying to us, right? The meaning why they say is that after the complete saying, after the complete speech only, you understand the real meaning. Okay, you will understand the real meaning. For example, there is a sequence of sentences. Okay, you have a sequence of sentences, like a sentence is there like this, like uh, Ram came from home dejected. Sorry, Ram came from school dejected. So who is Ram here? You consider to be dejected means very sad. Okay, he came from school and he is very sad. What do you mean? Who do you think Ram is? So we think that Ram is a student there. Okay. So again, next sentence is that he could not control the class, because he could not control the class. Now, what do you think? Who is Ram now? You think that now the view that you had earlier, Ram was a student. Now, in the next sentence, he could not control the class. Then no. It means that Ram is not a student. He is a teacher. Now, then immediately you say that like next sentence is that he should have not been assigned the job to control the class. He should have not been assigned to control the class. Now you think that it says he is not a teacher, he is not a student, maybe he may be a caretaker. He may be a caretaker. So Ram is considered now as a caretaker. Now then, after all, he is the class leader of the class leader. After all, he is the monitor of the class. Now you just imagine that. Now you think that, okay, at the last line only, you came to understand that, oh, he is a class leader. He is a student again. So this way, you are changing your view in different. Like for example, if you are stopping with the third sentence, okay, he should have not been given the responsibility of controlling the class. Maybe like then in that case he is the like a caretaker. So here for every sentence, the meaning is changing. Your assumption, your perception is changing there. So unless and until we do not have this information, then we cannot perform the discourse analysis. Exactly finding a specific thing, the meaning will be really difficult. So you need to understand one thing, that in this NLP stages total, this semantic analysis, pragmatic analysis and discourse analysis, all three are interested in finding the meaning. Okay. This is conventional meaning. It may be a general meaning, and then contextual meaning and the connection meaning. Okay, all this is just a small slide. I have kept it here for your understanding. And in every stage we require text processing. Now if you take some pre-processing activities, okay, you see here from a corpus, how do you do your like storage of the data or something when you are doing it? How we try to do it? See, you have the corpus data. This corpus data you do the pre-processing. And this pre-processing, like pre-processing in the sense like you may use some splitting of the data, noise removal, and then like a normalization things. This type of activities we call as a pre-processing. Like splitting maybe like you are trying to separate the words. Okay, you are trying to separate the words. Now suppose like if you do not separate them properly, it means that the word sense disambiguation. Okay, you have to do, like, if you do not separate the words properly, it may go into different meaning. You just see that, like, God is nowhere and God is now here. Okay, God is nowhere. So if you want me, just let me type it for you. Okay, here some text, just please, I am just typing God. Now you just please read it, this one. God is now here or God is nowhere. If you do not separate this properly, what happens? God is, so you have to, you say that the different meaning that comes are like this, right? It is like God is now here, or you can take this as God is nowhere. Now you see that the same words, okay, the same characters here. God is now here, God is nowhere. See, for the same characters only, I have written these two sentences, and these two sentences are totally different. God is now here means Bhagwan hai idhar, or you say that God is nowhere, Bhagwan hi nahi hai. So the complete meaning is different. You just imagine here. Similarly, you see that suppose there is a meaning like this, like you just see here. Okay, what is the meaning in Hindi? We are going आ जाएंगे. It is like आ जाएंगे as a single word or आज आएंगे. Right? You just imagine here. Two things are different here. The meaning gets different. And so you understand that, okay, English is a very fine language. Sometimes like mostly this comes when we are speaking and all, and the words typos, or maybe like if they are not splitted properly, the words are not split properly, the meaning gets different, right? So we need to do a proper text processing here. Now there are languages, possibly like in Japanese is a language where there is no gaps, there is no spaces. Okay, and they understand that one, so it is contextual understanding again. Okay, fine. Thing is, like, they do the text processing. Okay, here splitting, so splitting also involves this pre-processing. Noise removal, sometimes maybe like these stop words and all those details and all, we need to remove it. Then we need to go with this normalization technique. Maybe like a normalization involves maybe like some capitalization, or like a see, like how we need to do it, a removal of capitalization or including of the capitalization. See, the meaning differs. Like you for example, again let me go back there. You say here US, okay, and US. What is the meaning of this one? What do we mean by this? Yes, if you can please understand us. Can you please check it like this both? US means us. US means this is not us. This is US means United States. See, this word and this word, complete two different meanings we are having. So that is what I say. Okay, that is what I say. Like the normalization activities, like a capitalization or things like that, which involves, or maybe like a possibly many other things like you which involves like the bringing to the root word. Okay, and going from the like bringing to the root word, or maybe like a lemmatizing, or you can just take into consideration like things like lemmatizing or stemming. Okay, this type of, or many other normalization techniques may be possible here. Now, so this pre-processing activity, after this pre-processing activity, you need to go for tokenization. Okay, you are dividing the tokens. Uh, then this token probably after this one only, maybe like you may go for this normalization, okay, activities again. Then you have to generate a token ID mapping. This is token ID mapping is nothing but like you are trying to do it like a parts of speech tagging or something like that. Okay, so to do this one, maybe like the token, you may give like you have the vocabulary lookup, particular vocabulary lookup, and the feature hashing techniques, and then you generate the IDs, possibly maybe like the tokens with corresponding the parts of speech or something like that. After that one, you give this input, and this input is represented in terms of one hot encoding, or maybe like a count vectors, plus again it may use like a term frequencies and inverse document frequencies, and also it may go with representation with word embeddings. Okay, this is how a text processing takes place. You take it this, okay, let us consider this particularly the tokenization. Okay, let me please off, it is like in some other system also it is on possibly. I don't know, it is like in another in my system also I have stopped it, but still I can find some noise here. Okay, anyway, then we will see that later, no issue. You just please see here, the next thing is that like some terminologies, let us see that, like tokenization. So the tokenization is a process of breaking up text into many small pieces, and works by separating words using space and punctuations. Possibly like let's go to New York. Okay, how we tokenize this one, like let's take in like individual, and if you see this one, tokenize it, and then let apostrophe, starting of the apostrophe, let apostrophe s, then go to New York, then exclamation, and then close the apostrophe. Okay, this is how we tokenize. It means that given a sentence, let's go to New York, you just tokenize into this font. It means that dividing the words, okay, separating the each tags. Now tokenization breaks a complex sentence into words, okay, and it understands the importance of each of the word with respect to the sentence. So when we do tokenizing, this helps us to understand the importance of each word with respect to the sentence. Like as I said, you aaj aayenge, so aaj aayenge or aaj aayenge, right? If you tokenize, if you divide only, you will get the real meaning, right? So again, it produces a structural description on an input sequence, definitely, right? Maybe like you have like US, for example, US is given, and US in a smaller case we represent that one as us, right? Us, hum, hamara, it is related, okay? And US in capital, it represents something, the name of a person. So here, whether it is a preposition or a name of a location, whether it is a noun. So this produces, when you tokenize properly, normalize that token, then only it produces a structural description to an input sequence. So tokenization, we can go with bigrams, trigrams, quadgrams, pentagrams, or you may go with n-grams. If it is individual words, we call that one as unigrams. Okay, if you see this one, these are unigrams. Okay, one word, one tag, basically each tags like that. Okay, we call this one as unigrams. And if two words are combined together, we call them tokens of two consecutive written words are known as bigrams, and tokens of three consecutive written words are known as trigrams, and tokens of n consecutive written words are known as n-grams. Example, you see here n equal to 1. This is unigram. Okay, this is an unigram. This complete sentence, this is a sentence, is divided as this is a sentence. Then this is a sentence, separate words here. This we call it as unigram. If n equal to 2, it means the window size is 2. Two words you taken into consideration. This is a sentence. It means that these are bigrams. This we call this one as bigrams. Then trigrams means three words are taken into consideration. Okay, this is a and is a sentence. This is what we call it as a trigram. Now, so token normalization, as we have seen, we have stemming and lemmatization. And what stemming says, see, both of them try to bring into their root word. Okay, root word. But what is whether exact root or not exact root is the problem here. So this stemming normalize words into its base form or the root form. For example, the word fishes, fish, fishes, and fishing all stem into fish. Okay, but you need to understand one thing about this stemming is that results may not be the always the root word. Like for example, you see study, studies, and studying stem into study, for example, which is not an English word basically. So it means that like a study, like these type of things, you will not get the basic stem. It means that the basic root word, some of the words, this may not be like the what we do is that, like for example, if you have Potter stemmer, what it does is that remove remove I like in representation, like remove IES. Okay, ES, remove ES, studies, STUDIES. For that word studies, suppose studies, the root word for studies is like it stems as ES is removed and study is kept. Okay, this is how it differs. This is the difference between like this stemming and this lemmatization. So what lemmatization does is like uh, groups together different inflected forms of the word called lemma. See, if you take like good, better, best. Okay, so various go, went, gone. Those type of words and all, this stemmer cannot work for such type of words because it is not able to get. So whereas a lemmatizer can do that one. So groups together different inflected forms of words called lemma, somehow similar to stemming, but as it maps several words into one common root. uh, like output of lemmatization is a proper word, whereas output of a stemmer is not a, it may not be a proper word. Okay, example, like lemmatizer should map gone, going, and went into go. Okay, this go, this is the root. It is like a went also. Suppose for a went, the lemmatizer lemmatize of went in Python, if you give a lemmatize of went, it should be, the output should be go. Okay, the other thing is like stop word, some terminologies we are just seeing right now, like stop words. Stop words are like the common words which are ignored by most search engines because including them increases the size of the index without improving precision or recall or accuracy overall. So what happens is like these words, suppose you are searching for something or you are retrieving the data, you are processing the text. In that case, what happens is that these words always comes into picture. Like for example, you see did, of, these prepositions, or with, how, a, only, my, this type of again and again it may be repeating in all the documents, and processing this text, it takes a huge time also, and also storage of this text use memory, right? What we can do is that these words are called stop words, we can remove from them and then start doing the processing activity. Now another activity here is the parts of speech tagging. So what is parts of speech? If you see in English, we are having noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, verb, conjunction. Okay, so adverb, conjunction, preposition, article, and interjunction. Okay, now each language, when we are processing with English, these are the parts of speech. Maybe like when we are processing with our vernacular languages, may it be Telugu, Tamil, Bengali, Chhattisgarhi or Bhojpuri, or maybe like if they are having these parts of speech. Each language basically has some parts of speech. Any scripted language, okay, any scripted language basically has some parts of speech. So in India, for example, in India we are having something around 16,000 plus languages. Sorry, 1600 plus languages in India. But officially it is recognized as 22 languages, or maybe like a 23 with if 1 million people speak that one. So that is recognized as a uh, official language. Okay. As such, like India, we do not have a national language, but we have an official language. We are having some 22 official languages, which is represented. Okay. So this is like in English, we are having these parts of speech. So I believe in all these 22 languages of India and any other scripting languages which has got scripts, we have got the parts of speech. So now given a sentence in that particular language, we need to tag each of the word, each token to a particular parts of speech. Okay, we have to tag them. So for example, you see, hey, POS tagging simply means labeling words with their appropriate parts of speech. The parts of speech explains how a word is used in a sentence. There are 8 main parts of speech like noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, this, and all it is given here. Okay. So if you see here, you just look at this. This color, it is a noun. This, so it means that all these are nouns. Okay. These are nouns. This gray color are nouns. Pronoun, is it there? No. Verb, yes. Tagging, means, labeling, is, are, be form, whatever may be the form, but like it is verbs. You have some adjectives also. Okay, adjectives which amplifies the nouns. Their appropriate explains main, like this. Similarly, some adverbs which helps the verb to increase its quality or something, extract more meaning. So like simply, how, used. Similarly, you may have different like conjunction, okay, or interjunction you are having also. So just imagine that every language has got parts of speech, and we need to tag that particular word. Given a sentence, you tokenize that sentence, and then each token has to be tagged with one of the parts of speech. Now, common parts of speech that are available are, we have in pen tree bank generally used tag sets are 2 tag sets. One is the brown corpus tag and another one is the pen tree bank tag. Pen tree bank tag is like they are having some 45 tags, and brown corpus has got some 86 tags. See, we think that parts of speech are 8 only. What about all this then? So you see, the tag CC, it means that coordinating conjunction. CD means cardinal number. We have different parts of speech again now here. So it's, which is a foreign word, existential there, preposition or subordinating conjunction, or maybe like adjective, or like adjective, comparative adjective, or superlative adjective, or a marker, or a model, or a singular noun, or a mass noun, plural noun. So singular proper noun, like this we are having so many parts of speech, different variations with some different inflections for each of the basic parts of speech. So this, like this, we are having some 45 parts of speech tags here. Okay, for the pen tree bank. Okay, Pennsylvania State University tree bank. Okay, this is like a pen tree bank corpus. Similarly, Brown University brown corpus is there, where we are having some 86 tag set. So what is parts of speech tagging example? If you see, the waiter cleared the plates from the table. Now each of these words has to be assigned a tag from this particular tag set. Now you see, the is considered as a determiner. Waiter taken as a noun. Cleared as a verb. The as again determiner. Plates as a noun. and from, of course here it is not given, that's why, but like preposition, you see the as a determiner, table, table can be okay, you can consider like it variations, um, noun or it can be a verb. Why it is given? See, this is the thing that you need to understand here. This is given as a verb or it can be noun. So it depends upon the usage of this particular word. Context, for example. Please table it. If I say please table it, what does it mean? Please table it means please calculate it or represent the data in terms of a table. Table here, what I mean to say is that rows and columns, making it into rows and columns. So please book me a table. If I say, then the meaning comes here different as a noun. Please book me a table means it is a furniture. Here table means the furniture. If I ask you that, can you please tabulate the the bill? Then in that case, it's tabulate or table the bill. Okay, it means that it is a verb. This table is taken as a verb. So you just see here the dog at the cat. So given input like this, you have to determine each of the tag set. So the as a determiner. Now dog as a noun, at as a verb. Okay, and what type of verb also you can see. For example, you see here VBD is the past tense. Okay, VBD, you are representing that one as a past tense. Okay, NN, if you represent that NN, it means that a singular noun or a mass noun. Here the dog at the cat, the as a determiner, dog as a singular noun or a mass noun, singular noun here, at past tense, which is a verb, which is a past tense, then the again determiner, and a cat as a singular noun. Now why do we need these parts of speech tags? So you can use it as a statistical NLP task to bring or to get the statistics. Second one is these parts of speech tags basically distinguish the sense of the word, right? If you give the correct parts of speech, it means that it gives the sense of that particular word. As I said you here earlier, table can be a noun or table can be a verb, right? So it can give you a exactly like it can give the sense of the word, and it is easy to evaluate, right? How many tags are there and how many tags are correct. Okay, and you can infer some semantic information. So based on the parts of speech, like what would be the meaning, or like how the context can come into picture, like regarding like how the connection can come into picture with this particular sentence, and it is because tagging, if you give a correct tagging for a particular token in a sentence, then only you will get the exact, or you can infer some semantic meaning. Possibly maybe like you are trying to give it like what is the next word in a sentence. Okay, what is the next word in the sentence? What does it mean? Okay, this is you will be able to infer if you get a correct POS tag. And the next terminology is like named entity recognition. What is this named entity recognition? So data extraction task automatically for automatically finding and sorting into different categories like people, date, time, location, person, cardinal numbers, ordinal numbers, these organizations, all this, okay, in text across many languages. So you wanted to name an entity, you have to recognize a entity and that can be named. This is like, for example, you see that people, you give a sentence here like this and you take this particular word, What does it represent? Data, what does it represent? Does it represent a people or a date or a time or a location or a percent or a cardinal number or an ordinal number or a organization, or what does it represent? This is what we are interested in. Okay, each token, each word here has to be represent with some, or which it has to be named with some entity. For example, you see here Steve Paul Jobs, from Wikipedia, if you take it like this, was an American business magnate, industrial designer, entrepreneur, and investor. He was the chairman, chief executive officer, and co-founder of Apple Incorporation. See, given a sentence like this, okay, paragraph or a document like this, now you need to identify, recognize this word. For example, Steve Jobs as a person, this particular thing as a date, American as a, this is like a recognizing person. Okay, like maybe like some location. Similarly, Pixar as an organization, and like uh, this Walt Disney Company as an organization. Okay, similarly 1980s as a date or a year or date, so year comes under date, like that. So like this, again geographical location, San Francisco, maybe like this, different tag sets. It has to be it has to relate with different entities, or it has to name with these entities. So you recognize and name with respect to a particular entity. So now we will see about text representation. Okay, like what is this text representation basically? So if you see, we are having three representations. One is the one hot encoding, count vectors, and word embeddings. Now, what is this one hot encoding? One hot encoding is like, for each word, okay, you categorize them. Okay, you categorize them depending upon the, for the categorical attributes only. Okay, generally for the categorical attributes only you do this one. Okay, so or like for this words, you take the list of words like this completely. For this list of unique words, for example, you see that like this word is given as the first one. Okay, first one as 1 and remaining all as zeros. Since the for a given sentence, okay, so you can give numbering for this one, and which position, at which position this one hot should exist or one should exist, right? Here, like the, for example, you see the number is given here, like the word the, cat, and on have a index values, for example 0 at the 0th position. Okay, the 0th position, suppose we should have at the 0th position as like one the sorry, for a binary vector. Okay, or the representation of this particular word, you just represent at the 0th position as 1 and remaining everything as zeros. Okay, now see, suppose given a sentence here, the cat sat on the mat. So for this, wherever you are having, okay, wherever you are having that particular word, then for that particular word only you are just putting it here as one hot. Okay, you are giving the one hot and remaining that particular, so you have to consider only this particular. So if you take the, it means that it is appearing 2 times here. Okay, here once and here once. Now cat, so you have to number, you have to give an index value. So each index, for example 0th place you consider, so if it is occurring the 0th place should be 1. If occurring cat, this like first 1th position, it means the second position in that vector should be 1, and the on, for example, is the second position. Okay, it means that 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 0, 1 and 2. Second represent as on, for example. Okay, and like this, you respectively in the vocabulary. So only at these positions, their one hot vector will have a value of 1. The length of the vector is determined by the number of unique tokens in the corpus. See with an example. Okay, one hot encoding may be once go to move when a categorical feature is encountered in a dataset. And it is a simple and straightforward technique, and it works by replacing each category within a vector form of zeros, except for the position of its corresponding index values, which has a value of 1. So when applying this one hot encoding to a text document, tokens are replaced by their one hot vectors, and a given sentence is in turn transformed into a 2D matrix with a shape of nm, with n being the number of tokens in the sentence and m be the size of the vocabulary. So depending on the number of tokens, the sentence and its shape will be different. For example, you just take it here. Okay, now let us see here. Suppose we are having few words. Okay, a, an, the, good, boy, is, like this. Suppose we are having like this, and we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. Okay, and we can give this as number. It means that for that vector, okay, for a vector, the first position, the 0th position, or maybe like we'll represent with 1 and 1. Okay, first position, the second position, then you give this as the for the third position. Okay, third position, for this as the fourth position, for this as the fifth position encoding, and for this as the sixth position encoding. So here, so how many will be there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 words are there in the corpus. So what you try to do here is that this vector comprises of 6 this vector size is 6. So the first one will be 0, first one will be 1, and remaining all the elements will be 0. So 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose you take this. Okay, suppose an, it means that the second one should be 1, and remaining all the elements as 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, here the third one should be 1, and remaining all 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. And here the fourth one. Okay, the fourth one, so let me go in this way. Okay, for this the fourth one, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. Here the fifth one should be 1 hot, 1 and 0. And here the sixth one, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 and 1. Now you see here, now what happens given this corpus? Suppose a seventh word has occurred. Okay, a new word, seventh, like fine has occurred, and you represent as the 7th position for this one. Then in that case, what it should happen is all the vector size will increase with one more place, 0, then this is 0, then 0, then again this as 0, this as 0, and this as 0, and then here now comes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th position as 1. So if there are 300 words in the vocabulary, it means the size of this vector will be 300. But at which position it depends upon the index value. So index value here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that up to 300. If there are, if a vocabulary is that comprises of 1 lakh words, then it means that the size of this one, the size of this vector is 1 lakh only. Okay, the size of this is 1 lakh. So this is what one hot embedding. Sorry, not one hot encoding. So you see here, the cat sat on the mat. So you represent this one, 1, 1. So what are the, this one, like this one, the how it occurred here in these positions. So like this you can represent, and you can add up also. Okay, you can add up also, but the problem here is, the drawback here is that you do not have a sequence of information. The sequence information is missing here in one hot encoding. You can easily understand that. Okay, the sequence data is missing here basically. Now you take this count vector. The another one is a count vector. So what is this count vector? If you see, the usage of one hot encoding allows us to achieve a token level representation of a sentence, right? It does so by replacing its token with vectors while maintaining their original sequential arrangements. A count vector, on the other hand, is based on term frequencies and is capable of squeezing an entire sentence into a single vector. So the disadvantage we have seen earlier is, like, you can say that like they have used in one hot encoding. What we have done there, simply we were using it as one hots, and we were not using like the database size is very huge. Two basic disadvantages in one hot encoding is that the database size is very huge, right? You have seen earlier the database size is very huge, and also you can see that like the sequence of occurrence of the word is not available. The sequential information is not available. So what you can do here in this case, then you can go with maybe like suppose we give a sentence for this. Let me take you another example for this. Okay. Now suppose I have two sentences. Okay, the sentence one is like S1 is I am a good boy, and sentence 2 is given as we are eating, or maybe like we are eating with a good boy. Now what happens here is, I, for example, you have this index. Okay, you give index for I, you have to take all the unique words. I, okay, you have to take the unique words like I, okay, I am a good boy, we are eating with, sorry, are eating with. These are the unique words, right? These are the unique words. We are eating with a good boy. A good boy is there. A good boy is already there. That's why it will not repeat again. So already it is there. A good boy is already here. Now these sentences, suppose their indices are like this is as 1. Okay, 1. Let us see that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it means that the vector size will be 9. Okay, vector size will be 9, and you represent that like whenever you represent that particular thing. Okay, like when you are representing this particular sentence, I am a good boy, I, it means that this one should be, on the first one should be the hot, and then remaining everything should be nullified, 0. Arm, the second one should be hot and remaining everything is 0. So this is the way that we represent. And so as I said you that like here we do not have a sequence. Okay, we do not have a sequence. Sometimes what we try to give is that is processing this one hot embedding, maybe like if it is passed to a RNN. See, storing in a huge database, it will definitely cause so much problem. But maybe like one good thing is that we can go with a RNN and then we can pass it through RNN. But depending upon the sequence of the words, we do that one hot encoding. But you need to remember that the sequence cannot be attained exactly. Okay, the sequence cannot be attained exactly from the representation of these particular sentences. Now let's go back to this count vector. So what count vector does is that like you are trying to the drawbacks we have seen about this one hot encoding is that data representation is very huge and they are not sequential. Okay, based on the word given, that one, it does not say anything, that one hot encoding does not say anything about the sequence. So maybe like to overcome that one we may use some other techniques, but like another better technique than this one hot encoding, see, like it is not, we cannot say exactly like a better technique or something like that, but what we need to understand is that depending upon the application, so depending upon the application we need to use it. Maybe like suppose like for some of the applications, like whether you need a thing like uh, the one hot encoding only, then in that case that one hot encoding can be used. So for a count vector, instead of keeping the like each vector like that, what we try to do is we combine the labels. Okay, for the indices we try to combine it, like so let me read it and then go back there. The use of one hot encoding allows us to achieve a token level representation of a sentence. It does so by replacing its token with vectors while maintaining their original sequence, sequential arrangement. A count vectorizer or a count vector, on the other hand, is based on term frequencies and is capable of squeezing an entire sentence into a single vector. So we go back here again. So these are the two sentences. Now what we can do, so this is like you have I am a good boy, this is 1 2, okay, please remember here. Okay, so this is 2, this is 3, this is 4 5 6 7, like this. Now suppose I am representing this particular sentence can be represented using, so I, so how many vectors it should be there? 1 2 the 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So it is like 1, sorry, 1 2, sorry, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Now here what are the words? I means the first one should be 1. Okay, first one should be 1, and arm, second one should be 1. A, third one should be 1. Good, fourth one should be 1. Boy, fifth one should be 1. If you take this one, so this represents, this says that I am a good boy. I am a good boy. Fine. This is the one vector is sufficient for representing this particular sentence. Now the same thing, this is fine with us. This is in a sequence. So I am a good boy. Now we are eating with a good boy. Okay. Now you see a good boy. So we are having a good boy means a good boy. 1 2 3 from third onwards, right? 0 0 a good boy. So 1 1 1, a good boy is there. Then we are eating with, so we are eating with a good boy. So we also is there, are eating with is there. So this particular thing represents this particular sentence in vector count. But you need to remember that a good boy, okay, a good boy, we are eating with. So you see that the sequence is missed here, right? The sequence of these words is missed here. So this is what is said here. Like each position of a vector is assigned to a particular token as before, and its value represents the number of appearances that token has in this sentence. So tokens are first generated from the corpus, and vocabulary is built on built to map the tokens to their corresponding IDs. Instead of building one vector for each token, a count vector simply, so this one hot encoding, what it does, one vector for each token, but a count vector simply counts how many times each token appeared in a sentence and replaces that number in their corresponding position in the vector. So if you see here, we are eating with a good boy. Okay, we are eating with a good boy. Suppose any other word came, for example, again, for example, I. Okay, again, so, of course, grammatically it may be mistake, but here you see I and so IV. Okay, I and V. Suppose IV eating with a good boy. Now you just see here. Uh, sorry, we need to give extra of this particular. We are eating with a good boy. Suppose another word is there, R. Okay, R is there. R has come here. So R two times it has occurred. So rth place is here. So 987. Seventh position, it has to come two times here. This is like everything you are representing in a single sentence, and how many times it has occurred, that you keep it. So this is what is explained here. A count vector simply counts how many times each token appeared in a sentence and places the number in their corresponding position in the vector. But the thing sometimes you see here is the disadvantage. If you see here, you are having, okay, the sequence here is completely missing. No doubt in that, right? The sequence here is completely missing. So sometimes to overcome that, or maybe like another disadvantage is like some words, okay, some of the uh, words are appearing so much in that particular sentence, okay, again and again, again and again. And generally what we do, we try to like another sentence and another sentence, like that we try to combine together, and then we represent that as a document, right? And when checking for similarity or something like that, or like checking whether it is a how many times that particular word, like checking if for applications like spam filtering and all, okay, how many times that particular word occurred, so check with that vector, and if that it is matching with that vector, then you classify that vector as a spam mail, or like you what type of mail you wanted to classify that one, promotional mail. So you can classify that one as a normal mail or a promotional email, as an advertisement or a spam or something like that, you can. So based on the vector content, okay, vector content only you are going to do that one. Now so in the process, sometimes you use TF, you will provide weightage for each of the terms also, okay, you will like each of the vocabulary also here, or each of the words for that particular, like each of the token you are trying to put some weight also. Why do we put this weight is like, maybe like to arrange, get this one in some sequence, or some extract some information from this particular sentence, okay, information extraction. So for this sequential extraction or something like this, you are arranging some weights, but these weights maybe like due to the appearance of its terminologies, what happens is sometimes the weight may gain up. The weight may gain up. So for some stop words and all, as I said, you like a and the, I, uh, us, or prepositions, or this type of activities, conjunctions, interjunctions and all, the number of occurrences in all the documents is very high, right? So in that case, the importance, the priority that comes into picture is like whichever is having high priority. So initially what we take the weights, it means that the term frequencies, how many times it has occurred, okay, the term frequencies we call, okay, we try to take the term frequencies. Let me please erase this one. We are trying to take it term frequencies. Now, but the problem with the term frequencies for finding out like which is the most important word and all, you know, that one is like stop words. As I said you that stop words may be always occurring and it will be more in number, definitely. So in order to see that, like we also try to find out inverse document frequencies. So we are interested in finding this inverse document frequencies. Why we need to find out this inverse document frequency? The reason is that like if we find inverse document frequency mostly this is interested. So this inverse document frequency is mostly interested in, okay, it is appearing in this particular terminal, all the documents, but how less it is appearing in some, like how less it is appearing in some particular document, that also it takes into consideration. So a high weight of T of IDF, term frequency and inverse document frequency, is reached by a high term frequency. It means that like in the given document, like what is the level of its frequency, and also a low document frequency of the terms in the whole collection of the documents, for the whole collection of the documents. This is we are interested in. That's why we combine both term frequency and inverse document frequency. Only single term frequency may not work. That may not be the best one. Okay. Now, so another method of text representation is like the word embeddings. So with word embeddings, each word is represented by a dense vector of fixed size. So generally which ranges from 50 to 300 with values corresponding to a set of features like masculinity, femininity, age, etc. So as shown in the figure below, so this is the figure. So this is like assume that this is for a like we are having so many features. Assume that we are having, as I said you, that from 50 features to 300 features, which it may range. It may go beyond that one also, it doesn't matter. Okay, or it may come below 50 also, it doesn't matter. But generally, considering all different types of features known to us, it may be around like 300 or something if it is there. So feature number one, if you take the word king, if you take the word king, then the royalty is 0.99. So we measure, we give a weight for this particular. So how much of this particular feature is available in this king? How much of this particular feature, masculinity, is 0.99? Okay, femininity is 0.05, very negligible case, or 0.00. King, okay, very less. Age is maybe like a factor 0.7 only. Okay, and what are the other factors also it may increase. So for these four words, king, queen, woman, princess, like this, for these particular four words, the vectors are given here. Okay, the vectors, like the vectors are embedded or encoded like this. Now you see, as shown in the figure below, these features are seen as different aspects of a word semantic meaning, and their values are obtained by random initialization and are updated during training, just like the parameter of the model. Now, while training the embeddings, we do not tell the model what these features should be. Instead, it's up to the model to decide. So definitely that's why we have to go for using a deep learning architecture. Deep learning, what is its advantage? We do not give a hand coded feature extraction, right? The machine itself extracts its own features. So when setting up an embedding matrix, a set of word embeddings, we only define its shape, the number of words, and each vector's length. What each feature is representing is generally difficult to interpret. So as we give here embedding vectors for king, queen, woman, and princess. So word embedding's ability is to capture semantic meaning and can be illustrated by projecting these high dimensional vectors to a 2D space for visualization via TSNE. What is this TSNE? Sorry. Where is that? Huh. TSNE. What is this TSNE? TSNE is the stochastic neighbor embedding. So we take a data complete corpus, for example. Now let me take it from here. Okay. So suppose we are having a corpus. Okay, we are having a corpus of the data. The corpus of data maybe like it is estimated that the population is T distributed. Okay, it is T distributed, and this distribution, okay, based on this distribution of the data, like we try to find out the stochastic neighborhood embedding. Now it means that if you represent in a two-dimensional space, we cannot, like, it has so many dimensions. As we have said that we can represent that one as a 50 to 300, but assume that we are having something around let us assume that we are having something around 300. Okay, then in that case it is very difficult for us to represent. Okay, very difficult to represent then. But as human beings, we can visualize in 2D or 3D only. So let us assume that if you are representing in two-dimensional, and this is the vector which is representing to like good here. Okay, this vector is representing to good. Okay, sorry, this is good. Okay, good, for example, good. Okay, the word, for example, best. Okay, there is a word called best. There is a word called best. Then where it is represented, like the vector, it should be like, we try to find out, this is okay, assume that this is okay. I am using my mouse only for drawing, so it is very difficult. Okay, so assume this is the word, and maybe like some other word. Okay, excellent. Okay, this is maybe like this word is excellent. Okay, excellent. Okay, like this. So good, best, excellent. So the words, this like the cosine similarity between the words, this good and best. So the angle, so this vector and this vector, like this is best and this is good, and the angle should be as minimum as possible. The cosine similarity, it means that it says that like words which are semantically equal or nearness to this equal are placed nearby each other. Okay, nearby each other. That is the meaning of representing this one in a 2D space like this. So if you take this like illustrated by projecting, the word embedding's ability is to capture the semantic meaning and can be illustrated by projecting these high dimensional vectors to a 2D space for visualizing using TSNE, stochastic near embedding. So if embeddings were obtained successfully, plotting these vectors with the TSNE would demonstrate how words that have similar meaning would end up being closer to one another, right? These are having similar meaning. If you see here, this best and good are having the similar meaning. That's why they occur nearby. The semantic relationship between different embedding vectors can also be illustrated by the another example. Say that we have embedding vector of the words king, queen, man, and woman, for example. The resulting vector of subtracting king from queen, queen from king, king minus queen, and woman from man would be very similar and direction wise, since they both carry the similar values of that particular gender feature. So we can give it like king minus queen, king minus queen, sorry, king minus queen or man minus woman or equivalently. So given a example here, king and queen, man and woman, like if we are giving like a king minus queen plus woman is equal to a man, or approximately equal to a man. So this is like a king, queen, woman, princess. Okay, like this it is given here, and you have to understand that like if they are represented, in this particular 2D space. For example, this is king, this is king, and this is queen. Okay, this is king, this is X, and this is Y. For example, okay, this is Y, this is Y. Okay, Y. And here this is man and this is woman. For example, this is man and this is woman. So you see that the distance between the angle between these two will be same as the angle between these two. It will be same. Okay, it will be the same. So this is what is man to a king is same like woman to a queen. Now, so that's why it is given here like queen, king minus queen. This king minus queen means king. This king has some features. This features, king has this features, and queen has some features. So for a king, you remove the features of a queen. Okay, you remove the features of a queen plus you add the features of a, sorry, this king minus queen plus you add the features of a woman. Okay, you add the features of a woman and you are going to get this is like a man. So it means that a king, okay, this is a king, and you are for this like this is a king, this is a queen, this is a queen, and this is a man, and this is this king minus queen. It means that what is this king minus queen? See, if you see here earlier, king has royalty something around like a 0.99, and like this point like 0.99, this royalty feature. Okay, probably this royalty feature and all, if you remove it from this one queen, and you add the features of a common woman, it means that the feature vector goes, it is approximately equal to somewhere around, it will fall here only, almost in the boundary of this man only. That is like it is approximately equal to a man. This is word embeddings. So like word embedding has two basic methods. One is the like a we can give this one like a vector based or like a neural network based, like a prediction based. You see here, this is like a one for this you can see that a SIBO, continuous bag of words, and skipgram model. This is the SIBO method and this is the bag of words method. Suppose you wanted to project. Okay, let me give you another example here. I am trying to give it like I am trying to write like I had HAD. Okay, I had dash for breakfast, for breakfast. Okay, FAST. I'm writing with my mouse, please. Okay, bear with me. I had dash for my breakfast. You wanted to predict this particular word. Okay, this particular word. I had dash for my breakfast. Now, suppose I had dash for breakfast. Now, the thing is that what continuous bag of words does is that it has a word. Okay, now okay, let me go here. Now So what you do, you have okay, I had this is for example, I had dash, so for breakfast. Okay, you are interested in finding out I had this one, this you are interested in finding out, right? So I had, you are avoiding that this particular thing. Okay, so I had dash for breakfast. So this you pass through a hidden layer. Okay, this you give as an hidden layer. Now then you map this one, the output should be one of the words, right? Vocabulary. From the vocabulary, for example, you are having like a 1 2 3 4 like this. You have so many vocabularies. Okay, so many vocabulary words. The vocabulary is so many in number. So anything, I have omelette for breakfast, I had a dosa for breakfast, like this. There may be I had idli for breakfast, or I had a window for a breakfast. So like this, there are many all the words that are available. Now you combine this, you encode it, and then you assign like from here. Okay, you also assign it you with this, with the different weights. Okay, maybe like combining with the, this is the hidden layer, and this is the hidden layer, this is the vocabulary available. Okay, vocabulary available, and this is the available, not available, this is the things available here. So this is this set of sentence. Like what is the set of sentence? I had dash for breakfast. So this is the complete list of vocabulary in that particular language. This is the given vocabulary. What are these vocabulary? I had for breakfast. So using this, passing through this, you have to so adjust this weight. So this is a shallow neural network. Okay, this is a shallow neural network, and you have to find out, adjust this weight, and predict one of these particular words. Maybe like I had omelette for breakfast, and this omelette, for example, is the word that is taken into consideration. Okay, which has the highest probability with this particular vocabulary. So here, if you see here, so you have the input. I had uh, uh, breakfast today. I had dash for breakfast. You have to sum up all this one using the hidden projection reduction layers, and then output as one of the vocabulary words, right? One of the vocabulary words. So this is how finding the weights, and this is our job, exact weights, and finding the exact weights and biases and keeping it here and finding the exact word. That is the importance of this continuous bag of words, because continuous, these are the bag of words. This is what is SIBO model. What is the skipgram model? Skipgram model is the inverse of this one. Okay, what is this? You have complete given, means like here what you are doing, you these words are given. I have like the text, input text is given, and you are summing up the hidden layer, and then you are trying to, out of all the vocabulary, you are trying to find out only one word. But here given that missing word. Okay, suppose one word is given. Suppose you take omelette, and you take the like the hidden layer, and then you map it with different like given this particular words input for each word, what is the context, like what are the possible words that may be attached with this particular word. So this is what we say about, like you are going from the reverse direction. Okay, you are going, whereas SIBO model is going through from this direction to this direction, left to right, and skipgram is going from right to left, right? So we will see now. So we have got, these are the just representation models. We are having like a one hot encoding model, then a count vector, and then word embedding. So we will see again like the sequence models we will see, and then we'll wind up possibly. So for sequence modeling, most of the real world problems are sequential in nature, right? So I am a good boy. For sequential prediction, like if I am a good dash, what is the next word? How Google predicts otherwise the next word? Huh? I am a good boy. So good, after good, what is the next word that has to come into picture? Probable words. Okay, this is like, you say that is sequential in nature, right? The order of the event matters. Example, if you take a speech, the order of word matters in translation of a sentence. Activity, order of the movement of system defines different activities, right? Like videos, there can be modeled as images, right? So problems with feed forward neural network is that they are not capable of handling the sequential data, and they are not capable of memorizing the previous input data, and it depends only on the current input data, right? Feed forward neural networks. So we have recurrent neural networks. These recurrent neural networks are nothing same like that of a feed forward neural network, but it has its one of the output. Okay, one of the output is again given back to the like the hidden layer. Okay, like it is given back to the again to the hidden layer. So this is, if you unroll it, okay, if you unroll it or open it, you can see that like I am a, like that I am a good boy. So I, the output will be I. So if you give here it means that this input also is come. So it comes as, what is the probability, what is the probability of this particular word? Okay, so suppose this states that, or this output states that the probability of this word given this word, and this states that the probability, this output states that the probability of this word given these two words. Okay, so like that, if you consider like that, if you take even the bigram probabilities, then 2 only you need to take it. Trigram 3. Okay, if you're taking like n-gram probabilities, n particular sequence of words have to be taken into consideration. So while prediction also, suppose I am a boy, suppose this one I am interested to predict. Okay, this is the output that I am interested. So I am a. So given I am a, what is the probability that this particular word is a boy? Okay, so this is what how a recurrent neural network works. So some of the applications of recurrent neural networks are one-to-one recurrent neural network, which is used in image classification activities, and for image captioning and all. You give the image, but you describe that image with sequence of text, right? This is one-to-many. And many-to-one, for example, you give a sentiment analysis in the application, like you give a big paragraph. Okay, I went to the shop. I purchased a camera. The camera is very good with the pixel issues. But like the size of the camera is very big. So that details and all whatever you give, but what is the exact sentiment of that one? So you give many words as an input, but you get only one output. You give a positive sentiment, negative sentiment, or maybe like a neutral one. Okay, now for the machine translation, you give from like many to many. One of the examples is many to many. You can give like for this, you give for example in Telugu, and you try to get the output in English. Okay, this is the Telugu words, okay, entering here, and this is one type of architecture. It is some delayed because the sequence matters, right? That's why whenever like suppose I am, okay, suppose मैं एक लड़का हूँ, okay, मैं, so I am a boy. The output should be I am a boy, मैं एक लड़का हूँ. So in that case, either if you give it here, okay, the input that you give it here with some delay, okay, I may ek, then in that case, if you give direct, then one, okay, one, it should not come, right? May ek ladka. So you give the input, then it analyzes this complete set of sequence and extracts the correct meaning, and then it gives the output. So many to many. And another variation is that like many to many, this is the one of type of architecture where you say that labeling each frame from the video. For example, for each video you need to label, then this direct architecture can be used like this. Okay, these are the like a sequence processing applications using RNN. So I am now open for questions, please. Is there any questions available? Then I'll come out to answer, please. Here, where do we get the chat? Somebody can help me out then. Where do we get the chat? Is there any chat here available here?
I think so. Hello.
I think chat is disabled.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, chat is disabled. Okay, fine.
Okay, so participant, if any question, then you may ask.
Yes, yes, you can please ask some questions if you are interested.
Yeah.
Will we be doing any part of this in practicals as well? What we taught today?
Just 1 minute. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Uska breakup.
I think your voice is very low. We are not able to hear you.
हाँ ठीक है मैं दे दूंगा अभी क्लास चल रहा है ओके ठीक है मैं कॉल बैक करूंगा ओके ठीक हाँ हेलो हेलो
Hello, hi. I wanted to, are we going to do any practicals on this session, this language processing?
that one maybe like the coordinators has to say. I think I don't know right
So
now.
we do
No
not have any
practical session.
practical
right
session for this.
Okay.
Okay, I think so. No question. So thank you very much, Dr. Kurra Satya Babu, for giving a nice lecture. Okay, thank you so much for your lecture. Okay, and we will participant. We will meet at 12 noon for the next session, and we will start after 10 minutes. Next session will start after 10 minutes. So thank you very much. So after 10 minutes, we will meet again. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you for Satya Babu sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And dear participant, I have already shared the attendance link. So please fill that attendance link before 2 p.m. today for morning session. Okay. Thank you very much.